If you take a look at this nail here, this area is wider than my cuticle area. So naturally, these nails are going to feel wider on the client. They're just going to notice that they're not narrow, that they don't feel slender, that they don't enhance the look of their fingers. Their fingers feel like a little bit bulky or sausagey, I've heard. Hey there and welcome back, and if you are new here, welcome. My name is Paola of PaolaPonceNails.com, your source for all things premium soft gels and entrepreneurship in the nail industry. If this sounds like a niche you'd like to continue growing in, then at the end of this video, do consider subscribing to this channel and our weekly newsletter. Let's begin. Hey all, so today I want to talk about making nails narrow at the free edge. If you're like me, you usually don't like fanned out or wide nails, right? You want more of a narrow look so that your hands and your fingers look a little more slender, more petite, if you would. Very few people like fanned out free edges, right? We always want to make our nails kind of like thin or narrow. So that's what I want to show you in today's video. Now the supplies that you're going to need are very easy. So after you've applied your structured overlay, you want to take your files. Files are very important. When you have product on the nails, you want to be filing with a 180 grit board file. It literally has a board in there. This is going to be less flimsy than an emery board like this, right? Which immediately or very easily you can put a curve in. And as you're filing, if you're putting a curve in this, then you are going to put a curve in the shape of your nails also. So that is why we want to use our board file. So now that we have our tools ready to go for filing, we want to find the corners of the cuticle area and the corners of the free edge area, because we are going to use those to keep our shape within those points to keep things narrow. So you might be wondering, an almond shape, Paula, doesn't have points or corners, right? Because it's almond, obviously, right? Wrong. So the cuticle area is also rounded for the most part on most clients, yet we're still able to find points or corners to it. And the point is basically the side wall and before the eponychium area here starts curving. So right there is our point. And right here is our point, okay? So what we need to find is our free edge points. And actually our free edge points are gonna perfectly align if we use like a straight edge, like so. All the way down here, you can see that the point is like right there of this nail. Okay, so it won't mark it, but it's about right there. Now I've already shaped this nail, so you won't really be able to see the corners, but this is how you get to an almond shape, okay? You have to square everything off and find those corners so that you can then make that transition into the V. Corner, follow that through, it's about right there. So to shape this nail, I would take my board file, bring it down on the sidewall, right? Make it straight, make sure everything is straight here, kind of disconnected, same here, straight. And then I would end up with a triangle situation where it's like, all right, now I want to shape into an almond, so I'm going to bring that in a little bit and bring this in a little bit and then keep going until I center it, right? And that's when I would end up with like a triangle situation when I'm trying to do my almond, right? It's like, oh, okay, now it's looking kind of triangular. And as a triangle would, it has corners. You guys see how there's like a corner now there that needs to be softened, likewise over here. So then you would take from that stress area to the point, stress area to the point, stress area to the point to soften that corner in there. Because yes, you will create a corner. That is the process to get to an almond nail. And you do want to soften it whether you go upwards or downwards. You're just going in one direction. Not so much because you can cause nail splitting. Actually, if you're working with a high quality board file, that won't be an issue. You won't split the nails. It's when your file gets like too coarse and all of that. And as you can see, my almond shape is pretty much there already. Very easy. Found the corners, kept things within those tracks, right? We're gonna call these our tracks from this point to the point here. Likewise over here, right? And we use these tracks also to apply our structured overlay. So if you ever find that your structured overlay gets a little wide, you want to find those tracks and keep it within those tracks in order so that it also builds naturally thin or slender. So let's take a look at a more obvious example, right? This one was relatively easy. I think that in most cases, even if you don't know much about filing and finding the corners and all of that, you would still end up with a narrow nail when you're trying to do an almond. But what about when you're trying to take nails like this to a square or a round, and you end up with a large or a wide free edge? Well, how do you make that narrow without digging your file in there, right? Back and forth, trying to reduce it and make it narrow with your board file. What you would do is the same thing. You're gonna find those corners, corner, right? Because it's just going off of the sidewall, the groove there, and right before it transitions to going curved, that is considered our corner. So straight, it's about to transition, so straight, that's our corner right there. Straight, that's our corner right there, okay? So I don't want my free edge any wider than this, and I actually want to keep it like within this frame here of my corners. So I just have to go back to my nail. And if you want to practice this with a Sharpie and then you want to reduce the Sharpie mark, by all means, like that can definitely be a little cool little experience for you. So I just have to find the corners now on my free edge, right? So that I know how narrow my nail needs to be. So we're gonna go from that point. Actually, this is better for me because then I can see where. So it's about right there, right? And I can gauge once I'm like on the other side filing, okay? So right there. That just means, again, I'm gonna keep my intentions within these tracks that I built. Invisible tracks, right? This is one track, this is another track, keeping things between them. Now I wanna make this nail round. So what's the first step? For me, the first step is going to get that roundness here, or it can also be me trying to get the sidewalls. Okay, so I think for me right now, I feel comfortable going for getting my roundness first, and then bringing in that sidewall to that invisible corner there and that corner right there for within those tracks, right? Those points. Because right now, if you take a look, nails are wide when they are wider than the cuticle area. If you take a look at this nail here, this area is wider than my cuticle area. So naturally, these nails are going to feel wider on the client. They're just going to notice that they're not narrow, that they don't feel slender, that they don't enhance the look of their fingers. Their fingers feel like a little bit bulky or sausagey, I've heard, right? So this is how you're going to make this nail narrow. And this is how you know it's not narrow, even though it kind of looks like it's there. This area from here to here, is still much wider than our cuticle area. And if we want that illusion of narrow nails, we have to keep our free edge area thinner than our 2 points there. Okay, so I'm gonna take my board file, go back and forth to get that roundedness in the nail. Check client's view. Client's view is this way. You can also do this as a technician. Turn your client's hand over, take a look, and see if your nail is as rounded as you want. So we're working on getting that roundedness right here, right now. Looks round to me, which means it looks round to the client. All right, so here I will show you. Doesn't that look beautifully round? However, it's still just a tad bit wider than that cuticle area, those points that we drew there. So now it's time to take our board file and bring in the sidewalls ever so gently from the connection point, that end of the smile line right there, to our corner. Like so. Right now, just worry about making it straight. And in a moment, we'll decide if we want to round this new corner that we are creating. Okay. All right, you guys see how we're making progress with just a few passes? We are getting our narrowness. We're not sawing back and forth in that sidewall where we are going to cause damage and detachment of the nail plate from the nail bed. Same thing here. Just bring in this corner to that invisible corner here. You can actually see it marked a little bit there. very gentle passes, letting the grit of the file do the work for us. You can go up if you want, if you're doing DIY. It's a little easier sometimes to change the direction of your passes. Okay. Again, it is not a crime. It will not hurt the nail if you go back and forth, because this is a good quality board file. It's not super gritty. It's not going to shred the nail or cause all these nail layers to split. All right, now do you see a difference there? How much narrow that is? I mean, I wish we could see the before and after, right? You just have to rewind the video a little bit. Boom, and boom, so much more narrow. All we did was take the connection point there at the end of our natural smile line, which is also the stress area, and then just brought it in straight, and we have a nice narrow nail now. Big difference than what we started with earlier. And then from here, all I have to do is just soften that corner if I want to there, just ever so gently glide my file like this. I'm trying to soften this little point that I created so that I have a beautiful round nail without any corners. That's it. Do not start reshaping at this point, just softening up that point. That's it, I got a beautiful round nail. Now if you're using a tinted builder and you're like, oh, I've kind of left some discoloration or whatnot, all you have to do is take your board file, smooth that out. You're gonna have to do it anyways because this is a shiny surface and gel doesn't adhere to a shiny surface. And that's it, we're not reshaping, we're just ever so gently removing the shine, like so. Removing the shine, that's all we're trying to do here. Okay, and you can go underneath this nail. And now look, we have a much more narrow, rounded nail. I'll take you around. And now you can see how this is within our cuticle area point, and that's going to give us the impression and the client of a rounded, more narrow nail. Well, I hope you enjoyed this lesson on how to turn nail enhancements narrow. Thank you for watching. If you loved today's video, can you do me a favor and give it a thumbs up to boost it up in the algorithm so that I may help more people? And if you need a little more direction in your nail career, I want to encourage you to join my free masterclass using the link in the description box below. It is available for you to watch immediately for free right now after signing up.